transplants, surgeries, cancer.
The following video may sound like a medical lecture, but trust me, this video may save your life.
See, I'm not a doctor, but I have just arrived to a country that's one of the best at medicine and everyone should know about it. This is South Korea! See, South Korea is unique because all their hospitals are required by law to be non-profit, which means all the profit that they make has to be invested back in the healthcare. And because of this, you get world-class healthcare. It has technology that can treat cancer by shooting lasers only at the cancerous cells without harming healthy cells. It has robots that can perform surgeries and doctors that are super efficient.
Koreans are the fastest in treatment of illnesses in the world.
That's why Korea has one of the highest survival rates in the world, over 92% for breast cancer and over 95% for kidney and pancreatic transplants. This is a better success rate than many other developed countries like the US, Canada, or even Japan. This is nothing new. The Koreans have been medical geniuses for centuries. Traditional Korean medicine can cure illness without surgery, using herbal medicines and acupuncture like this.
Feels amazing. I don't know what the hell happened, but thank you, I felt nothing.
The Koreans are also known for plastic surgeries. And they even have charity programs that invite victims of abuse from all over the world and offer them free plastic surgeries to rebuild their confidence and give them a second chance at life.
다친 사람들을 치료해 줌으로써 그 사람들이 삶의 질을 향상시킬 수 있다는 것 때문에 이 일을 시작하게 됐습니다.
This is why people from 190 countries come to South Korea to get treated. Patients get cost-effective medical assistance in their native language
نحن جدا فرحانين إننا نقدر نساعدهم
and enjoy their native food.
We make halal food
And it's very delicious.
And in most cases, they are back to full health in no time. Korea invests a lot of effort into its healthcare. That's why treatments are safe, accurate, fast, and easy. This makes you wish every country invested in healthcare like Korea. This makes you wish every country put patient before profit, because maybe then more lives will be saved. See you next week. North Korea is not a joke. It's one of the worst countries in the world. It's isolated, it's dangerous, it's strict, but above all, it's depressing. So here is my time inside North Korea. I visited North Korea by taking a 24-hour train from Beijing to the border. Here, you can only enter as part of an organized tour group.
And now we have to take a train to North Korea for 24 hours.
And the minute you cross the border, you enter a whole new world. Soldiers will inspect everything you own.
They check every picture and every page of every book that you have.
Please do not take photos of the person in military uniform.
They make sure you don't carry any Bibles or Qurans or any religious texts because religion is banned. No political books, no nude magazines, no internet transmitters, and no sensitive information. Soldiers even take your phone to check which pictures you have. And it all makes sense because this country is like a prison. Inside of it, you'll see extreme poverty and extreme isolation with no freedom, no Wi-Fi, no Facebook, no access to the outside world.
This place is such a close community that everything they produce is produced internally, which means there's no trade or very little trade with other nations.
And no matter how much they try to hide it, North Korea is poor. On the highway, there are very few cars because people can't afford them.
Oh, this is the main highway of North Korea, right here.
Inside homes, there is no stable power because it keeps going out.
Power went off again.
Outside homes, poverty is apparent and the people are trapped inside.
Say hi. Hi. What do you want to say to the camera?
They have a beautiful culture, beautiful traditions, amazing sports events, circuses, and dances. They are proud people, but the problem is they don't matter. What matters in North Korea is the missile, the tank, the soldiers, the fake illusion of power. Military displays are everywhere in the country, and leaders are on every building. This is what the country chose to focus on at every cost. And not this. My time in North Korea only lasted 5 days, and it was orchestrated to see what the government wants you to see. And on my train out of the country, I got checked one last time by soldiers.
We just got checked. And luckily they didn't steal our videos.
And as soon as we were in the clear, I cried. I cried for the people there. There is no solution for the average North Korean. Their country is and will remain a prison. One day, it may be as prosperous as its neighbor, South Korea. But that day is very far from today. See you next week.
Last month, I showed you the most depressing country I've been to, North Korea. I showed you their missiles, their soldiers, and their people. And that made me cry, and many of you cry. North Korea is depressing. But in the world, there are two Koreas, not one. So what about South Korea? What do people do there? To answer that question, I visited South Korea. And what I saw there will make you unexpectedly happy because it is undepressing. Just look at the way they protest.
See, in the rest of the world, protests get easily violent. They easily turn into riots and clashes and weapons. But not in Korea. In 2018, I witnessed a rare Korean protest, and I was surprised by how peaceful it was.
This is a protest.
South Koreans went to the street in the millions to protest against their president using candles, street parties, flags, and inflatable sharks.
Not weapons or violence. And after a few weeks of protests, they succeeded.
And the president was removed from office peacefully. This was a revolution of candles.
To this day, I am inspired by their protests, and I am even more inspired by what they did 20 years ago. The following is another true story.
In 1998, the Korean government was running out of money. They owed billions of dollars in loans and the government couldn't pay them back. And that is when the Korean people stepped in. I kid you not, millions of citizens donated their own money to the government. They collected their gold, their necklaces, their rings and personal belongings and gave them to the government voluntarily so they could pay back national debt.
My parents gave away 3 rings to save the country from the national debt.
I mean, who would do such a thing for their country? Not I, not you, but the Korean people did.
They paid their national debt as a community, and 20 years later, they built an amazing country with world-class medical systems, world-class smart cities, and world-class technology companies. That's why today there's a little bit of Korean technology in your pocket right now. At the end of the day, North Korea is still depressing, but it can change, and it can become a country with peaceful protests, strong community, and smart technology. One day, North Korea can be as good as South Korea. See you next week.